Have you ever considered the power of a hint? The hint of snow in the weather forecast can make children of all ages excited. The hint of a change of music in the score of a film can put your body on edge and alert you that something bad is about to happen. The hint of attraction in the eyes of somebody across the way can give way to all kinds of thinking about what could unfold in this romantic future of yours. The hint of Dave's insanity hot sauce was enough to ruin all kinds of dishes of friends of mine at university. A hint is a powerful thing. At the start of each year around St. Mark's, we focus purposefully on the three big stones that we have, our three foundational principles. Faith, which we looked at last week, love, which we'll look at next week, and this week our discussion about hope. If you've ever had to live without hope for a moment or for a period of time or for a long time, you'll know that to have no hope is an incredibly desolate experience. There's the kind of trivial no hope of some of us who support rubbish football teams who are never going to win, and we just know there's no point getting excited at the start of each season, even though we do, because it's never going to happen. There's the damaged hope of some of us who've had the courage to walk across the room and ask somebody out because of the hint of attraction in their eyes, and then the rejection that we feel and the desolation that happens in that moment. There is the bleak and barren landscape of somebody who's not able to feed their children, of somebody who lives in an area of the world where their government actively oppresses them and targets them for persecution and pain. There is the lack of hope in somebody who knows that each time they open their front door and walk through it, they walk into a place which is not safe for them. To be without hope is a barren and bleak place. And of course, as Christians, we're not immune from that. We too live in lands which are plagued by war. We live in places which are plagued by famine. We know what it is to be fatigued and alone. We know what it is to struggle with hardship. We're not immune from anything, but in the middle of all of that, we do get the opportunity to be carriers of hope. There's this story I read a while ago of a Jewish man who found himself in a Nazi concentration camp, and each Friday would wander around, and as long as the guards weren't looking, he would whisper to anybody he passed, "Take heart, brother, today is Shabbat," the Sabbath. This prophetic little poke in the face of their captors that you can take everything from me, but you can't extinguish the hope inside me. What is the hope that he carried inside him? The hope that he carried inside him was the same as the hope that all followers of God have carried for millennia. And they know, if you've read the Bible, sometimes there's this misconception that the Bible is this story of consistent highs of faith, of experiencing a kind of nirvana-esque relationship with God, of knowing peace all the time, of having your way whenever you want it. But if you've lived as a person of faith, or if you've really dug into the Bible, you'll know that it isn't how it works. All the time there is trouble and fatigue and persecution and hardship and difficult decisions to make, and arenas where we're not sure that we're wise or capable in. All the time we wonder if we'll be able to beat the onslaught of the lack of hope in our life. The hope that the God carriers, that the God followers carry within, is a hope that this isn't it. No matter what this is, no matter where they find themselves, no matter how the world around them looks, no matter what's going on internally, this isn't it. In fact, in this moment, there is goodness and grace in the presence of God available, and that can transform any single moment. And even more than that, this isn't it forever. If the full-time whistle blows on this world and this corrupt government and this war and this famine, then that will begin a time and eternity of grace and of goodness. There is an eternal garden where God will walk with his children, and there is no crying, no mourning, no death, no pain, no sickness, no sadness. That is the hope, the grace, the free gift of a relationship with God that Jesus offers to all people. That is the hope God followers carry within them. I met this nun once from Aleppo, this diminutive lady, didn't even come anywhere near my shoulders in height. She told me for 2 or 3 hours stories of having stayed in the city of Aleppo when many others had fled, many others had joined fighting forces. She would continually risk her life to provide energy. She found a generator and gave energy to whole blocks of flats. To provide food, somehow she got food from the black market and gave it to people that couldn't afford food. To provide healthcare, even though she wasn't a trained nurse, to those who were elderly and weak and young who were left behind in Aleppo. She'd been kidnapped several times. She'd known what it was to have planes and bullets, planes drop bombs and bullets fired at her. And so I asked her at the end of all of these stories, how do you keep going? What is it inside you that allows you to keep having any positivity or joy or just the tenacity to stick in? Her answer? The hope of Jesus. She said, I have hope that this isn't it, that I'm protected and loved in all situations. I also have the opportunity to be a bringer of hope. What would it say about us if we had some hope, some God-given faith, some God-given grace, some God-given joy, some God-given contentment inside us, and we kept it to ourselves? What would it say about us and our God if we just assumed that it would run out if we shared it, so we must keep it to ourselves and He's picked us out because we're special? It would make us an insecure and insufficient bunch, and it wouldn't say good things about the God that we follow. But on the flip side, what would it say if, because of the grace and the goodness that has been shown to us, because of the hope we have, we decide to be hinters of hope to all around us? Let's be honest, we'd love to change the world for everybody. We'd love to make it so that everybody could eat a full 3-course meal every single evening. We don't have that power in our grasp yet. We'd love to make it a safe place and a safe society for all people. We don't have that power in our grasp. But we do have the power and the ability in our grasp to be a hinter of hope for everybody we meet. We might be able to fill some cupboards of some hungry children with some meals. We might be able to provide a safe space for some people for whom their home is not safe. We might be able to share a smile with somebody who has not been encouraged in years. We might be able to share generosity with somebody who finds themselves in need. We might be able to share what it is that we have with somebody else and to bring hope into their situation. So as we go into 2021, which already feels like a long year, already feels like there might not be a light at the end of a tunnel, or a complex one which has lots of different caveats, already feels fatiguing and frustrating, why don't we commit to doing 2 things? The first is to make sure that we're in touch with the hope that we carry inside us. Is there a flame of hope, or was there a flame of hope that's become like a little flicker, a little ember that needs fanning back into flame? Have you been able to interact recently with the hope that you have in Jesus, or has it become something of a distant memory? Maybe for some of us, we need to get back in touch with that hope in Jesus Christ that we have, that His presence is transformative in this moment and His grace lasts for all time, and His goodness is something we can be joyful about. The second thing is this: why don't we commit to be sparklers? Do you remember back on bonfire night when you have one sparkler which has light within it and another sparkler that finds itself in darkness and unable to light itself and transform its own destiny, until the two collide, and all of a sudden the light which one has passes on to the other sparkler and changes the other sparkler? Why don't we commit to be hinters of hope? A community, a gang, a family, a bunch of individuals who decide to, whenever we can, however we can, in 1,000 different ways, give hope, hint at hope to others. With full cupboards, with open doors, with safe places, with full banquet tables, with expressions of generosity and joy, with encouragement and love. Why don't we, St. Mark's, be hinters at hope?